With the offseason upon us and almost 2 months until SEC Media Days kick off the 2018 season in earnest, Swamp 247 has been taking some time to review each of Florida's opponents in 2018. This week we are putting a bit of a different spin on it, taking a look at the top opposing players the Gators will face at each individual position. We've already covered the top quarterbacks Florida will face in 2018, so now it's time to turn to an equally important position, running back. The SEC has long been powered by terrific tailbacks, but the Gators might actually catch a bit of a break next fall in that regard. They still take on some quality tailbacks, but the overall depth of running backs the Gators will face in 2018 pales in comparison to some previous years when the likes of Leonard Fournette, Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, Dalvin Cook, Jalen Hurd, Ralph Webb and others littered the schedule. This year's crew is much more manageable, with 4 highly experienced and productive backs and 1 up-and-comer rounding out our list of the top 5 opposing running backs Florida will take on. We've outlined the strengths for each of the backs, as well as areas the Gators will need to be on point in to slow down each of these workhorses. Depending on the opponent, the strategy for slowing down each individual back differs a bit. For a team that struggled at times slowing down the run a year ago, Florida will have to shore some things up and improve in some key areas to stop these elite threats. Check it out below. 2017 season, Chandler played second fiddle to John Kelly on a Tennessee offense that floundered for most of the season thanks to quarterback issues and a team that went off the rails as its coach went down with the ship. But Chandler flashed some real ability in spurts when Kelly wasn't available, particularly in his start against Kentucky. He finished the year with just 71 carries for 305 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he showed he's got the ability to take it the distance on any carry as a freshman. Area where Florida will need to be effective. Florida's biggest issue in stopping the run over the past 2 seasons has been poor gap integrity, and Chandler is not the type of back you can afford to lose a gap on. He has the quick twitch ability to burst through the hole and be past the safeties before you can blink, so the Gators linebackers will have to be locked in and disciplined when they take on the Volunteers this fall. 2017 season, if you're looking for a prototypical power runner in the SEC, look no further than Williams. Williams isn't necessarily a bowl-you-over type, though he's certainly got the size to do that on occasion. Instead, he's a big body who manages to find creases inside that he's able to exploit for solid yardage, and he can take a pounding. He carried the ball at least 20 times in 7 games last year en route to a 1,019-yard campaign. Area where Florida will need to be effective, it's really all about being able to get off blocks, particularly at the linebacker level. Williams is the type of back that you can't bring down with one arm, so being able to strike through and shed blocks to square him up is key. If the Gators have trouble getting off blocks in this one, expect Williams to chunk out 8 to 12-yard gains consistently. 2017 season, Swift had to sit behind 2 monster SEC running backs in Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, but he still managed to make quite an impression in his freshman season. He was the lightning to Chubb's thunder and a home run threat every time he touched the ball. He never topped 100 yards in a game and only saw 10 touches in a game once, but he averaged 8.2 yards per carry, piling up 597 yards on just 73 carries. Taking over a more full-time role in the backfield, he's got a chance to be one of the nation's breakout stars in 2018. Area where Florida will need to be effective, like with Chandler, the key to slowing down Swift is making sure he doesn't have cutback lanes to hit and explode through. Florida linebackers don't have the collective speed to hang with Swift if they're not precisely in their gaps where they need to be. Get caught jumping too quickly to one side, and Swift has the ability to use his one-cut running ability to slice upfield for a big gain. 2017 season, despite the return of veteran Jacques Patrick in the backfield, it was freshman sensation Cam Akers who stole the show for the Seminoles at running back. He posted 4 100-yard games as a true freshman, including a 199-yard, 2-touchdown outing against Syracuse. He finished with 181 carries for 930 yards and 7 touchdowns. If Florida State is more settled at quarterback next fall and playing in a system like Willie Taggart's, that should help open up the run game even more. Akers could really break out in 2018. Area where Florida will need to be effective. Getting a handle on Taggart's offense and how he plans to run it at Florida State next year will be important, because it has the chance to significantly revamp the ground game for the Seminoles. Before, it was reasonably straightforward: power, stick the gaps and you're good to go. Under Taggart's Gulf Coast offense, the Seminoles will have more misdirection, more RPOs and more reads in the run game that will make it trickier. High discipline, particularly from the linebackers and safeties, will be key to stopping Akers and company. 2017 season, in a league with superstar running backs and with a terrific Georgia duo now off to the pros, Snell could make a convincing case as the sec's top tailback now. He powered the Kentucky ground game in 2017 as he piled up 1,318 yards and 18 touchdowns. He did while posting 7 100-plus-yard games, including a 211-yard outing against Louisville. He ran for 13 touchdowns in the final 6 games of the season. Area where Florida will need to be effective against Snell, it's all about duration. He's a guy who tends to get hotter the more carries he gets, averaging 19.7 carries per game in the regular season. One way to ensure he doesn't get as many carries and is less of a threat: jump out to an early lead against the Wildcats. Both Mississippi State and Northwestern managed to post a double-digit halftime lead against Kentucky last year, and Snell got 7 and 6 carries in those games, respectively. The Gators need to jump out early to limit how much the Wildcats can lean on their best option on offense.